When I took history or government or just really watched Schoolhouse Rock or History Rock on Saturday mornings, I knew that the United States government was part of three equal branches: the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. Each were a check and balance to the other. Each had equal power. Legislative sets the laws, the president approves them, and then uses the executive branch to enforce them, and judicial branch checks all the laws for constitutionality. Each are part of it. Each are separate but equal. It's just until recently that Congress decided to become part of the executive branch. With Speaker Mike Johnson and John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, instead of setting a standard for Congress and putting legislation on the president's desk for him to make a decision about it, they go to Trump for everything. And if he doesn't like it, they don't move forward with it. That's not the way it works. You have given the executive too much power. Prime example is the DHS fight. The Democrats agreed to letting the stopgap budget pass without DHS because of the question of ICE and its basically being a rogue agency not following the Constitution. They would fund everything but DHS. Cool. They would start talking about it. And they don't want ICE to have any kind of restrictions. So it's been sitting there in the Senate. Needs 60 votes to bust the filibuster. Trump has lost his mind about it, and also the SAVE Act, which is basically a voter suppression act. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I'm not going to go into details of it, but it's not a good thing. So, TSAs hasn't been funded. As you can see, there's lines in the airports everywhere. And Trump's solution is let's add more, let's put the ICE agents on there to make it worse. And they have. They're not doing shit to move the lines. They're standing there drinking coffee and looking all self-important with their vests and weapons. Oh, yeah, and they arrested a woman in San Francisco yesterday who had a passport, was leaving the country, but dragged her into detention. And by the way, San Francisco Police Department, nice sight, you protecting ICE as they literally kidnap a woman. Those agents had no markings on them. They're plain clothes. I thought the LAPD was bad. Okay, so apparently there was a compromise reached with Democrats. They'll do everything but ICE. They had been proposing that for weeks, but as spring break and airlines start putting pressure on elected officials because they're losing money and it's not looking good for them, they went ahead and said, okay, fine. But instead of voting for it and then putting it on the president's desk, John Thune runs to Trump. And Trump says, no, you have to do that and pass the SAVE Act at the same time. They just have given up their total autonomy. You don't go to the president for him. You said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put it on your desk. And let him make the decision, because that's his job. Your job is to pass legislation to help the American people. I know it's Republicans, but bear with me on that. But they run to Trump to make a decision for them, which he's not supposed to do. He makes that decision once the bill sits on his desk. And so they ran back with their tail between their legs. Well, apparently Trump is now deciding to reverse it. And the reason is they had convinced him that they could pass the SAVE Act through the reconciliation. Everyone, the reconciliation of 1974 was designed to allow budget and money issues to pass the Senate without a filibuster because that was a problem. And under the Byrd Amendment or the Byrd Act, Robert Byrd put in there, it can only be used for those items. Only items that affect the budget and part of money. They have told Trump that they can pass the SAVE Act through reconciliation without busting the filibuster. You can't do that. The SAVE Act has nothing to do with money or budget. Nothing. It is an election-based law, and it has transgender stuff in it. Even if you took it out, it's still not a budget issue. And they're going to have to put that in front of the Senate parliamentarian who is not political and is going to tell them no. So this is a way to get around it because they have to con the toddler that he may get his candy after he eats his broccoli. Okay? Now, even if Trump signs the bill today, I believe the Senate is out for recess because they, after putting that anger management poster child as head of DHS, they left. And the House hasn't been in session, who knows anymore. I mean, that's the easiest thing. You know, my wife calls it a procrastinator because I put stuff off. No, no, the House gives procrastination a new fucking name. So it's still, even if they voted for it, it still had to go back to the House. It had to be voted, had to be approved, go back to the Senate to make sure they don't fuck with it, and then it lands on Trump's desk. That will probably take a week to 2 weeks. Meanwhile, airports are going to looking like they are. He's going to keep the ICE agents in the airport, and I guarantee you guys, I guarantee you, there is going to be more an act of violence soon. People are frustrated and upset. People don't want ICE. They're already screaming at these guys. They don't have to wear masks. They're taking pictures of them. They're going to end up on a lot of websites. The point is something bad's going to happen because you have unqualified goons now run by an anger management, a guy who needs anger management, and his orders are going to basically hit first, ask questions later. So there is going to be, they're hiding the SAVE Act thing behind all that, but they can't pass it through reconciliation. The parliamentarian won't do it. If she does do it, that's going to land right in court for that reason only. It's amazing to watch. We had a government that was balanced to an extent. That the congressional part of it had pride of setting up themselves an equal branch to check the president, even presidents of their own party. But now we have a bunch of weak-ass Republicans who have forgotten what the Constitution gives them power to do and have just basically bowed to Trump to let him do whatever he wants. That's why we're in a fucking war that no one wants. That's why the economy is collapsing. That's why you got tariffs. This is what happens when an equal branch of government, and including the judicial branch, decides to make a man a king. The one thing our founding fathers did not want, because they knew that is a problem. And in 1776 is a problem, and in 2026, it's still a problem. All right, you'll have a good day. Follow me on Substack at Binder38US. Please subscribe to help my work. I really would appreciate it. And you have a good day.